Everybody keep watching Voice of the People.
Well, hello and welcome to News Hour on Voice of the People TV. I am Vivian Oguche. Before we begin, kindly visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. First, the headlines. Anger as suspected herders kill over 100 in fresh Benue attack. Leadership failure behind Benue killings, says Obi. Ogoni Group says Tinubu's pardon for Sarawiwa and others misplaced, and diplomats urge ECOWAS to cut foreign aid alliance. Nigeria urges Iran, Israel to end hostilities and violence. On the foreign scene, Trump vetoed plan to kill Iran's supreme leader. In business news, WEF says Nigeria female workforce level hit 95.6%. In sports news, Danjuma wins male singles category. While in entertainment news, extreme movement thrills Korean music lovers. Now the news in detail. A pre-dawn attack by suspected herdsmen in Yelewata, Guma local government area of Benue State has left over 100 people dead and many others maimed. The casualties included internally displaced persons, women and children, while an unconfirmed report says that no fewer than 2 security men were also killed while trying to repel the gunmen. According to reports, the attacker struck at about 2 a.m. on Saturday during the rains and operated unhindered for about 2 hours, killing, maiming, and destroying foodstuff and property. A special advisor to the Benue State Governor on Security and Internal Affairs, Joseph Ha, was quoted as saying that 102 bodies had been recovered. Similarly, spokesman for the governor, Tesu Kula, stated that no fewer than 45 people have been confirmed killed. Confirming the incident, Benue Public Relations Officer Edith Deme said the Commissioner of Police has deployed a tactical squad to the community to deal with the situation. The chairman of Guma Council, Maurice Owu, stated that many people were killed while over 26 others have been hospitalized. The attack came days after residents allegedly received information of planned coordinated attacks by marauders. And piqued by what they described as the continued unprovoked and unaddressed violence, hundreds of Benue youths took to the streets on Sunday to protest the continued attacks, killings and displacement of their innocent family and relations. This followed the latest massacre of scores of Yelwata community in Guma local government area on Friday. Gathering at the Wurukum roundabout in Makurdi, the protesters called on the federal government to live up to its responsibility of protecting all citizens in the country. The federal urged government to ensure that all displaced persons return to their ancestral homes to continue their normal lives. According to a spokesman for the youth, Brahms Ikwan, Benue State has been under a siege for a long time and there has not been sufficient government effort to address the mindless killings. Accusing the authorities of conspiracy of silence in the ongoing genocide, Ikwan regretted that even when the people provide useful information about impending attacks, nothing is done to avert it. According to him, the people had cried, sent messages and letters, but nobody came to their aid. He added that in spite of the attacks and killings in Yelwata, there has not been a word from the government or any prominent person yet. And worried at the continued gruesome killings in Benue State by suspected armed herdsmen, Labour Party's 2023 presidential candidate Peter Obi has said it is a direct consequence of leadership failure in Nigeria. Obi expressed heartbreak over the latest attacks, which claimed over 100 lives, including women, children, security operatives, and displaced persons. In a statement on X, he called for an urgent national response, warning against the growing normalization of mass killings in the country. According to him, this tragedy has become too common in Nigeria's national life, and the Benue situation now calls for a national emergency. He noted that the scale of killings goes beyond isolated violence and rather reflects systemic governance failure. He regretted that over 200 lives have reportedly been extinguished in a single onslaught, homes burned, families shattered, and communities left in ruin. He stated that this is not merely violence but a failure of leadership and a stain on Nigerians' collective conscience. Well, away from Benue State, Ogoni Central Indigenous Authority has rejected as a misplaced action President Bola Tinubu's state pardon and national honor to the late environmental activist Ken Saro-Wiwa and 8 of his compatriots. According to the president of OCIA, Dr. Goodluck Adibu, the Ogoni Nine never committed any crime against the Nigerian state to warrant pardon rather than being exonerated for a crime they were wrongly accused of. Adibu said he believes that Tinubu is serious with wanting to close that painful chapter of Nigeria's past in a way to appease the Ogoni people, but failed the scrutiny in this particular instance. He noted that in real sense, Tinubu may run into trouble with the use of his legitimate constitutional power if detractors go to court to nullify the award aspect, thereby leaving behind a pardon without exoneration. He further argued that while the president could grant pardons, reprieves, respites, or remit punishments for offenses created by an act of the National Assembly, the act does not anticipate the granting of national awards, even if posthumous, for criminals. And now, member states of the Economic Community of West African States have been urged to undertake enabling institutional reforms for financial independence to reduce reliance on foreign aid and development partners. The Commissioner for Internal Services, Professor Nazifi Darma, made this call during the opening of the 37th meeting of the ECOWAS Administrative and Finance Committee in Abuja on Sunday. Dama urged the countries to intensify efforts toward internal resource utilization and the elimination of corruption, warning that the new world order created by the United States is likely to affect the region. According to him, one consequence of this new world order is the way the U.S. Agency for International Development now provides assistance across many of ECOWAS countries and likely to be adopted by other development partners. Dama further appealed to member states to put on their thinking caps to see how the region can intensify effective utilization of its resources internally. He stated that ECOWAS's goal is how to have a continuous strategy of doing away with any form of foreign assistance to its institutions and agencies. Well, in another development, the United World Congress of Diplomats has urged African leaders to unite in fostering justice, equality, and opportunity for the continent's children according to international laws. In a visual call as part of activities for the International Day of the African Child, which holds on the 16th of June, Ambassador Tunji Asolu addressed the urgent need to accelerate the implementation of the African Charter on the rights and welfare of the child. The International Day of the African Child commemorates the tragic Soweto uprising of 1976, where South African students protested educational injustice and faced brutal suppression. Asolu urged governments at all levels and all stakeholders to expedite the effective realization of all international policies and frameworks pertaining to children's rights and welfare. He emphasized that the day served as a powerful reminder to prioritize children's needs and rights, ensuring that they reach their full potential. He added that the event transcends mere celebration, but is rather an emphatic call to action about the continent's shared obligation to uphold children's rights through strict adherence to international laws, charters, and declarations. Well, turning to other stories now, the Nigerian Air Force says it has taken steps to fast-track the acquisition of 12 AH-1Z Viper attack helicopters to bolster operational capabilities. In a statement, the Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Ehimen Ejodame, disclosed that the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, led a delegation to the United States for a program management review meeting on the acquisition of the 12 helicopters. According to him, the strategic meeting, which held from June 9 to 13 in San Diego, California, brought together top officials from the United States government and representatives of Messrs. Bell Textron, which manufactures the AH-1Z helicopters. Among others, he stated that the Abubakar had opportunity during the visit to inspect the helicopters firsthand and engage with senior officers of the U.S. Marine Corps on best practices for the operation, sustainment and logistics support for the AH-1Z platform. And our former Vice President Yemi Oshibajo has given an insight into the state of Lagos State judiciary before 1999, stating that 89% of the judges were notoriously corrupt and implicated in several corrupt activities. Oshibajo, who was reflecting on his tenure as Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice from 1999 to 2007, spoke during the second inaugural lecture of the Pastor Taiwo Udukoya Memorial Lecture, the Fountain of Life Church in Lagos. VOP TV correspondent David Edwin has more on this report.
We asked 200 lawyers who practiced in the courts of the High Courts of Lagos at the time. We asked a question, and we asked several questions, but the particular one I want to mention is, what is your perception of judges in Lagos State? We asked that question from lawyers who practice in the courts, and 89% of them said that the judges were notoriously corrupt. Notoriously. We had corrupt, very corrupt, notoriously corrupt was the worst. And the 89% said. Now, from 1967, when the state was founded, to 1999, when we conducted this survey, not a single magistrate or a single judge had been reprimanded for any act of corruption. Not one. Not one had been warned. Reprimanded means warned. No warning, nothing. Not one had been sacked, nothing. So every one of these notoriously corrupt had clean records. So we then decided, with all of that, there were 7 judges sitting with me on that day. We were sitting together. So, okay, how much do you earn? They were earning at the time 67,000 naira a month. Well, that was 1999. It wasn't good money. It was still small. But of course, not 67,000 naira today, but it was still very small. Then we asked the question around the table, so Justice XY, you have a son in America. How much do you pay a school fee? And we'll write it down, $6,000. Okay. The second son is in secondary school. How much do you pay? We'll write it down. As we were writing it down, one of them hit me on the shoulder and said, Leonard Attorney, you two know that this thing we are doing is rubbish. You know. You pretend to pay us. We too were pretending to work. So we stopped this rubbish exercise and we then focused on the real question. What does it take to ensure that a judge is at least able to live properly, live well? We then agreed on what a reasonable salary would be. We agreed that we'll give all judges a house as soon as you become a judge. We'll give you a place to live, a house, and it's yours for life. You choose whether you want the house in Ikoyi or Lekki or Ikeja, GRA, which were places where we had real estate that we could build for judges. Get 2 cars. Cars will be renewed after every 4 years. We then agreed also that appointments of judges will not be man no man. It will be by merit. We also agreed that if you are found to be corrupt, you will be sacked. We will investigate every case of corruption. So fast forward a few months after, about 6 months after, we had sacked 22 magistrates. 22. 3 judges lost their jobs. We were paying at the time, we started paying, we enhanced the salaries considerably. I think we were paying 350,000 a month from 67,000. And then we moved it up again, and we moved it up again. And they had homes. We headhunted the right caliber of judges. We made sure that the judges went through a test. When a judge was corrupt, we made sure there was consequence.
The ongoing conversation in Nigeria are surrounding good governance, accountability, and of course the evolving relationship between the church and the government is critical at this time, and a lot of persons are asking questions. With these former Nigerian leaders and elder statesmen having to lend their voice about good governance and the way forward for Nigeria, a lot of Nigerians would wonder and ask one question: how soon will Nigerians be enjoying the dividend of democracy? Right here from the headquarters of the Fountain of Life Church, where the second annual Taiwo Odukoya Memorial Lecture was taking place, David Edwin reporting for VOP TV.
But you're still watching News Hour on Voice of the People TV. When we return, Nigeria urges Iran, Israel to end hostilities and violence. Stay with us for this and more stories after this break. Well, welcome back, everyone. Nigeria has called for restraint and an end to the rising hostilities between Israel and Iran, which have seen both countries exchange a barrage of drone and missile attacks. The federal government, in a statement by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesperson Kimebi Ebenfa, further condemned Israel's preemptive strike on Iran, saying the move has dangerously escalated tensions between both nations. Nigeria warned that retaliation risks not only civilian lives but also threatens to destabilize the broader Middle East with serious consequences for international peace and economic stability. Nigeria further pledged support for all sincere efforts at restoring calm and fostering peace in the region, stating commitment to the principles of peaceful coexistence, non-aggression, and multilateral diplomacy. While calling on both parties to prioritize dialogue over confrontation, it further urged the international community, particularly the United Nations Security Council, to intensify efforts towards immediate de-escalation of conflict and to provide a platform for constructive engagement. Now, a federal high court sitting in Ikoyi, Lagos, presided by Justice Yelim Bogoro, has ordered the deportation of 4 Filipinos over cyber terrorism and internet fraud. Prior to their deportation, each is to serve 1 year in prison or pay 1 million naira fine. This was contained in a statement by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, which added that its Lagos Zonal Directorate 1 also secured the conviction and sentencing of 7 Nigerians for the same offenses. Justice Bogoro also ordered the Controller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service to ensure their deportation to their country of origin within 7 days of completing their sentences. They were prosecuted on separate charges bordering on cyber terrorism and internet fraud. The EFCC said they pleaded guilty to the charges when read to them, following which the prosecution counsel requested the court to convict and sentence them accordingly, and all items recovered from them forfeited to the federal government. Meanwhile, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has arrested 44-year-old Ezimokwe Chukwebuka at the Port Harcourt International Airport for allegedly ingesting 53 wraps of cocaine. In a statement, NDLEA Director of Media and Advocacy, Femi Babafemi, said the suspect was arrested at the Port Harcourt International Airport on the 7th of June 2025 while trying to board Qatar Airways flight to Tehran in Iran via Doha. According to him, after a body scan proved positive to ingesting illicit drugs, the suspect was placed on excretion observation, during which he expelled 53 wraps of cocaine in 6 excretions with a total weight of 1.172 kilograms. Babafemi said the suspect claimed to have gone into the criminal trade 2 years ago, moving between the West African sub-region and Iran. Similarly, NDLEA operatives at the Muritala Mohammed International Airport, Ikeja, intercepted an Italy-bound passenger, Edobo Ambrose, on an Air France flight in the early hours of June 14, 2025. Babafemi said the consignments hidden in the suspect's luggage was later discovered to be 14,410 pills of 225 milligrams and 200 milligrams tramadol concealed in winter jackets. And now, in commemoration of the World Blood Donor Day, which is marked annually on the 14th of June, Mozook Future Solutions Limited partnered Fidelity Bank PLC for a free blood group testing in Abuja. This is in line with the theme of the 2025 event, Give Blood, Give Hope. Together we save lives. The day is dedicated to expressing gratitude to voluntary, non-remunerated blood donors for their selfless contributions that save lives, and to highlight the ongoing and critical need for the safe and regular blood donations. In a statement, the parties noted that the free blood group testing was designed to raise awareness about the life-saving value of voluntary blood donation, educate the public on the importance of knowing their blood group, and promote regular and safe blood donation as a civic responsibility. The Managing Director of Mozook Future Solutions, Dr. Edwin Emmanuel, stated that knowing one's blood group is not just a medical necessity, but can mean the difference between life and death in emergencies. Now, June 14 is the International World Blood Donor Day, and a day that reminds us of the life-saving power of a simple, selfless act of donating blood. Every drop counts, and every donor is a hero. VOPTV's Victoria Ogbaki takes a closer look at why this day matters, who it celebrates, and the impact of blood donation in communities across the globe.
Every year on June 14, countries around the world observe World Blood Donor Day, a day dedicated to raising awareness about the importance of safe blood donation and expressing gratitude to voluntary unpaid blood donors for their life-saving gifts. Launched by the World Health Organization in 2004, this day not only aims to support national blood transfusion service, but also to encourage more people to become regular donors. It coincides with the birthday of Karl Landsteiner, the Nobel Prize-winning scientist who discovered the ABO blood group system. The theme for this year is celebrating 20 years of giving. Thank you, blood donors. This milestone underscores 2 decades of global progress and highlights the incredible generosity of individuals who roll up their sleeves to save lives, many without ever knowing the people they help. Blood is essential for treating a wide range of medical conditions, from trauma and surgeries to childbirth complications, cancer treatment, and chronic illnesses like sickle cell diseases. Yet, in many parts of the world, especially in low-income and middle-income countries, there remains a critical shortage of safe blood. Today, campaigns and events are being held across continents, from mobile blood drives to public awareness initiatives, all with the goal of inspiring new donors and reinforcing the message, one donation can save up to 3 lives. Health authorities continue to emphasize the importance of voluntary, non-remunerated donations, which are considered the safest source of blood. These efforts not only ensure sufficient supply, but also help build strong, sustainable health system. Let's get the insight of Dr. Abigail Hassan, who is an emergency management first aid instructor.
It's surprising that those that are eligible to donate blood, we only have about 3% that actually do. And while we think that donating blood only benefits the recipients, which of course you give life to someone, the honest truth is donating blood is healthy for you as an individual because it gives your body the opportunity to produce new blood, right? And the funniest thing is, platelets are not things you can manufacture. other than being produced by another human being. It lowers your risk as the donor. It lowers your risk to heart attack, and it also reduces your risk to cancer. Now, while you are giving blood, it helps you build your iron level. So it's even beneficial to you. So it's a win-win case in this. And it's important that if you're eligible, it allows you do health checks, that if there is an underlying health issue, before you get to donate blood, it's noticed, they pick it up, and it helps you guide through. And another thing it helps, and for me, I think this is like the most important, which is it gives you the opportunity to watch someone else live by a common action you just did as a good human. So it's actually essential to donate blood as long as you're eligible at least once a year. Okay, so before you donate blood, certain tests they have to run tests on you to be sure you are eligible. The honest truth is, once you get to the hospital, they will check you. They won't just take your blood. They will check you to be sure. If your own blood volume is low, they definitely won't take from you. In fact, they will get to let you know. And blood volume is not by body size right now. So to know that you are eligible, you would have to visit the hospital for them to check on that. Well, as long as you are not SS, because they need, right? They do need. SC also need. And the honest truth is even AA does need, right? It's not even based on genotype now. If you are AA and you are involved in an accident, because as a human, you are entitled to only 5 liters of blood, whether you are AA or SS. So whatever situation you find yourself, if you are in a road traffic accident and you lose blood, they would need to get from the blood bank to give back to you. But to donate, either AB, AA, particularly AA, the clamor call is for AA. But we do have certain AAs that their blood volume is low. Or we might, like I said, even if you are AA and you get to hospital and they notice an infection in your bloodstream, they won't take your blood.
Well, away from health matters, the Anglican Diocese of Lagos says it has trained 126 young women in creative arts, business management, and content development. Disclosing this in a statement, the diocese's media team said the program held at the Caroline Adebiyi Women Development Center in Ipaja, Lagos, in partnership with Terra Academy for the Arts, with support from the MasterCard Foundation. According to the organizers, the program focused on script writing, animation, and creative entrepreneurship, with the aim of preparing more young women to participate meaningfully in the digital and creative economy. President of the Diocesan Women's Organization, Dr. Lydia Odedeji, said the training was about impacting young women and nurturing them to become innovators and leaders in various fields of human endeavor. Now, June 15 marks World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. It is a day to spotlight the often hidden mistreatment of older adults and to call for action to protect their rights and dignity. Around the world, communities are coming together to raise awareness and promote respect for the elderly. VOP TV's Mesoma Okpala has more on this report.
Is observed annually on the 15th of June to raise global awareness of elder abuse, a pressing and often hidden issue affecting millions of older people worldwide. Initiated in 2006 by the International Network for the Prevention of Elder Abuse, the day serves as a call to action for individuals, communities, and institutions to protect the rights and dignity of older adults and to advocate for preventive measures. In many cultures and society, elder abuse remain unreported and unrecognized due to stigma, fear, or lack of awareness. But despite these challenges, elder abuse is now being recognized as a critical public health and societal issue that demands global attention. Governments, communities, and individuals must work together to raise public awareness, strengthen legal and institutional frameworks, and provide support for older adults in order to foster environments of dignity, inclusion, and respect.
One have to realize what an elder is, both the male or the female. Once somebody is up to 60 years and above, that qualifies such a person to be either statesperson or either statesman. It's expected that he will be ultimately be respected based on his age and experience over time. In this side of climb, I believe a lot of people don't have regard to the elderly. And that's why there's a lot of abuse, neglect, disrespect towards such. The government should create awareness using National Orientation Agency to create awareness what an elder is and how they should be regarded. Most elderly people are not being respected. They are being abused because of the society they find themselves while they are in their active years, working or being civil servants or being owners of business like entrepreneur. As much as you know, you can't get younger. You should prepare financially by good service, enroll yourself into pensionable funds, have treasury bills accumulated, good deposits, good investments that will accrue a lot of money, a lot of assets, so that at the aging times you have what to rely on. Not necessarily relying on government or relying on maybe the children or the people you played a good way to. The experience I had is, Father, was one day, I wasn't too strong health-wise. I went to bank. I had to queue up, and I was almost staggering to fall. Good enough, a bank manager or one of the bank officials noticed that I was like not having so much strength. Came and excused me from the line, the queue, to attend to me. Ordinarily, people don't do that here. And it's the same thing is applicable into public transport and other places. Yes, an elder should be respected, accorded the respect of preferential treatment because of his age.
As we celebrate World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, it is important to know that the day is a vital moment for reflection, advocacy, and education. Mesomopala, reporting for VOP TV.
Well, coming up after the short break, our World Report, business, sports, and entertainment stories. Stay with us.
Hi, my name is Tosin Mohammed. I'm a gospel artist. Keep watching VOP TV.
Almighty Father, you are the mighty Redeemer. We've come to worship at your feet, oh Lord. This is Ayotunde Adejumo, chilling with you on the Voice of the People TV. Don't touch that remote. You are where God wants you to be. Listening to the Voice of the People TV.
The Bible says we should give thanks in all circumstances. And all circumstances include the good times and the bad, the high times and the low, the times when everything look as if they are going well, and those times when Enugbe, the ground is dry like the sand in the desert. Those times when you feel like giving up, you should give thanks still. My name is Jeff Melu, and I'm a gospel poet. And you should keep watching VOP TV. Don't touch that dial.
Yes, Kábíyèsí Olúọ̀run, we were born to give you twale, to give you worship. People of God, you are watching Voice of the People TV, and my name is Flo Rocker. I encourage you to listen to things of the gospel. You know, we live in a very perilous times where there are some things you watch on television, you will lose faith, you will lose God. Keep your eyes on Voice of the People TV and remain blessed. Flo Rocker says so.
In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that
Welcome back, everyone. On the foreign scene now, Egypt has signed a financial closure deal with Norwegian renewable energy developer Scatec for 1 gigawatt solar plant, which will allow the project move into its construction phase, the Egyptian cabinet said. According to a cabinet statement, the project will involve a $600 million investment. The government also signed a power purchase agreement for a 900-megawatt wind project that is being developed in the Gulf of Suez with Scatec, estimated, at $1 billion. Egypt is aiming for renewable energy to provide 42% of its electricity generation mix by 2030. However, the country has in recent years relied heavily on natural gas, with solar, wind, and hydropower making up only 11.5% of its electricity generation. Now, United States officials have claimed that President Donald Trump vetoed an Israeli plan to assassinate the Iranian Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. One of the officials said the Iranians have yet to kill an American, adding that until they do, America is not even talking about going after the political leadership. However, when asked about the reports of Trump vetoing, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said there are so many false reports about conversations that never happened. There have been conflicting accounts about whether Trump gave the green light to begin attacking Iran on Friday, having been told about the operation earlier in the week. However, Trump on Sunday called for a deal between Israel and Iran, writing on his Truth Social platform that there will be peace soon between Israel and Iran. He added that many calls and meetings were now taking place. Meanwhile, Netanyahu said Trump knew of Israel's intended attack on Iran, adding that he had been in constant contact with Trump. Now, British Finance Minister Rachel Reeves says that though Britain could potentially support Israel in its conflict with Iran, its decision to send additional military jets into the Middle East was made mainly to protect British bases and personnel. This came after Israel and Iran launched fresh attacks on each other overnight into Sunday, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying the attacks by Israel so far were nothing compared with what Iran would see in the coming days. However, Reeves called for a de-escalation in the conflict and said the decision to send additional jets to the region was a precautionary move. Asked if Britain would come to Israel's aid if asked, Reeves said his country had in the past supported Israel when there were missiles coming in. She added that Britain was sending in assets to both protect itself and also potentially support its allies. Britain was involved last year in protecting Israel from missile attacks from Iran. In April, British planes shot down Iranian drones heading for Israel, and in October, it said 2 of its fighter jets and an air-to-air refueling tanker were involved in trying to intercept Iranian missiles. The jets did not engage any targets, however. And away from the Middle East conflict, French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot says Greenland is a European territory and it is normal that Europe and France show interest. His response was about French President Emmanuel Macron's visit to the Arctic island. Macron visited Greenland on Sunday in a show of solidarity with Denmark, meant to send a signal of European resolve after US President Donald Trump threatened to take over the island. Now, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Cyprus on Sunday in a visit focused on the potential role the island could play in linking India to Europe via a trade corridor, officials said. Modi, who was on his way to a summit of the G7 group of nations in Canada, and Cyprus President Nikos Christodoulidis were scheduled to address business leaders on Sunday and hold formal talks on Monday. India is pursuing the so-called India-Middle East-Europe corridor trade link by sea and rail, but the visit is being held in the shadow of a rapidly escalating crisis in the Middle East. One of the objectives of our discussions is the connection of India with Europe through the region of the wider Middle East and its entry into Europe through the Republic of Cyprus, Christodoulidis said. The two-day visit is part of a broader diplomatic outreach to European nations as Cyprus assumes the rotating EU presidency for 6 months in early 2026. The two countries have close relations through their shared membership of the Commonwealth. In business news, Nigeria recorded 95.6% female participation in labor force in 2025. The latest World Economic Forum 2025 Global Gender Gap report stated. It disclosed that Nigeria made a significant rise in workforce parity, its highest ever level so far, with female participation increasing from 89.9% last year. According to the report, this progress contributed to a 3.6-point improvement in Nigeria's economic participation and opportunity score, which is one of the few bright spots in an otherwise mixed gender equality performance. However, it noted that in spite of the gains in the labor market, Nigeria fell one position to 124th globally, pulled down by a decline in political representation for women and widening educational disparities. The Global Gender Gap Index annually benchmarks the current state and evolution of gender parity across economic participation and opportunity, educational attainment, health and survival, and political empowerment. The Managing Director of World Economic Forum, Sadia Zahidi, said the latest Global Gender Gap report seeks to empower decision makers by measuring the current state of parity and identifying those that have made the largest leaps forward. So business news, the federal government says it has commenced discussions with leading Chinese steel conglomerates as it seeks technical expertise, financial backing, and industrial partnerships to revive the moribund Ajaokuta Steel Company. The facility is regarded as a key industrial asset critical to Nigeria's manufacturing ambitions and job creation. The Minister of Steel Development, Shaibu Audu, who led a federal investment drive to China, said the team has met with key executives from top Chinese steel manufacturers, including Sino Steel, Fangda Steel Group, and Jingye Steel Group. According to a statement by the Minister's Special Assistant on Media, Lizzie Okoji, discussions with the Chinese firms focused on conducting technical evaluations and designing operational models. Others include structuring financing frameworks needed to breathe life back into Ajaokuta Steel, a facility long viewed as a critical component of Nigeria's industrial and economic transformation. Audu said the revival of Ajaokuta Steel Company remains a key priority of the federal government and would be realized before the end of the current administration. He further explained that the objective is to secure strong technical and financial partnerships that can help bring Ajaokuta Steel back to life. Sports news now. Lucky Danjuma beat Oriol Alvarez of Spain 6-0, 6-4 in the final of the male singles to win the International Tennis Federation World Tennis Tour Junior G30 in Abuja. The flagship junior ITF, which ended on Saturday at the Moshood Abiola Stadium in Abuja, is a journey to help junior players gain global rankings. Speaking after the final game, Danjuma said it was his last in the junior category as he prepares to transition to the senior level. He expressed satisfaction with his performance in both the doubles and singles events, which he won. Congratulating Danjuma as a very good player and wishing him success in a career, Alvarez said he had a challenging experience in the tournament. He explained that though he was feeling unwell after the tough match, he still won the doubles category with Danjuma as partner. Meanwhile, Success Ogunjobi beat Luxak Louis of Germany 6-3, 7-5 to clinch the title in a thrilling female category encounter that saw both players display impressive skills. Now, Lionel Messi and his Inter Miami side were held to a 0-0 draw by Egyptian side Al Ahly as FIFA's new 32-team Club World Cup got off to a smooth start in front of 60,927 fans in Florida. Messi was denied a stoppage time winner when he saw his coiling shot from 20 yards out-tipped onto the bar by Mohamed El Shenawi as Miami piled under pressure in the final minutes of the game. Al-Ali, who were cheered on by over 10,000 of their supporters, were left to rue a first-half penalty miss from Egypt international Trezeguet, which was saved by Miami's Argentine keeper Oscar Ustari. However, the Egyptians also had El Shanawi to thank for another fine save in the dying seconds to keep out a header from Maxi Falcon as Miami pushed for 3 points in the Group A clash. For FIFA, which has faced heavy skepticism over the necessity for the tourney, the absence of a goal was the only disappointment on a night that delivered everything else that its president Gianni Infantino had hoped for from the beginning. Well, in entertainment news, fans of Korean music in Abuja were treated to a unique electrifying dance steps by a dance group known as the Extreme Movement Crew. The crew also won the 2025 K-pop festival, which celebrates Korean pop music and culture, bringing fans together to enjoy concerts, dance competition, and other activities related to the genre. Organized by the Korea Cultural Center, Nigeria, the K-pop festival featured 18 finalists comprising 10 singing teams and 8 dancing teams, which battled in their categories at the Abuja Grand Finale. However, the Extreme Movement Crew of the 3 talented dancers defeated 6 other contestants to cut home a cash prize of 800,000 naira and a chance to compete in international final. And now, Afro-pop star Adewale Mayowa, popularly known as Mayokun, has released his 3rd studio album titled Still the Mayor. The 12-track album features the high-profile collaborations with Fireboy DML, Davido, Rotimi, King Promise, Oliver the Boy, as well as others. Mayokun had earlier revealed that Fireboy appeared twice on the project, making it a standout contribution from the YBNL artist. Initially built to be released on May 2, the album was eventually dropped on Friday across all major streaming platforms. And it's a wrap for us on News Hour. But before we go, a quick look at the headlines. Anger as suspected headers kill over 100 in fresh Benue attack. Also, leadership failure behind Benue killings, Obi says. Ogoni Group says Tinubu's pardon for Sarowiwa and others misplaced. And diplomats urge ECOWAS to cut foreign aid reliance. Also, Nigeria urges Iran and Israel to end hostilities and violence. On the foreign scene, Trump vetoed plan to kill Iran's supreme leader. In business, WEF says Nigeria female workforce level hit 95.6%. And in sports news, Danjuma wins male singles category. In entertainment news, Extreme Movement thrills Korean music lovers. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. On YouTube, we are Voice of the People TV, and on other social media platforms, we are at BOP TV Live. I am Vivian Oguche, and thank you for watching.